Okay, let's be real. Those massive corporate annual reports, they can be a total slog to get through, right? I mean, just pages and pages of numbers and corporate jargon. But here's the thing. Buried inside all of that is the actual game plan. It's the blueprint for the future. So today, we're going to cut through all that noise. We're deconstructing Microsoft's 2025 strategy to figure out exactly where they're placing their biggest bets for the next few years. And right out of the gate, their CEO, Satya Nadella, lays it all out. He says Microsoft is at the heart of a generational moment in technology, all because of this massive AI platform shift. Now, that's a big statement. This isn't just your standard corporate speak about another business year. He's basically saying, hey, this is a revolution. And, as we're about to see, that single idea that this is a huge generational shift, it literally shapes every single thing that follows in their entire strategy. All right, so they're in the middle of this massive AI shift. Big words, big promises. But the real question is, how is the business actually doing? Are the numbers backing it up? Let's take a look. So here's the headline number, $281.7 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. That's their total annual revenue. To give you an idea of how huge that is, that's bigger than the entire economy of a lot of countries. It's just a staggering figure, and it really shows you the sheer scale we're talking about here.
But you know what's maybe even more impressive than that giant number? It's the growth. 15%, year over year. I mean, think about it. For a tiny startup, 15% is great. But for a company the size of Microsoft, that's like turning a battleship on a dime. It's a massive signal that demand for what they're selling is just accelerating like crazy.
And a huge, huge piece of that growth pie, it's their cloud platform, Azure. For the first time ever, Azure by itself brought in over $75 billion. $75 billion! This one division is an absolute powerhouse. It just goes to show you how central the cloud has become. It's not just a part of their business anymore. It's pretty much the core of their entire model. Okay, so this awesome performance, it translates directly into real money for investors. Look at this. If you would put $100 into Microsoft stock 5 years ago, today you'd have more than $255. And here's the kicker. That's not just good, it's way better than if you just put that money into the broader S&P 500 or even the tech-heavy NASDAQ index. So yeah, investors are definitely happy. So the numbers are clearly fantastic, but that's the what. Now let's get into the how. What's the actual strategy behind these record numbers? Well, the report gives us a super clear playbook for how they plan to navigate and really dominate this new AI era. It boils down to 3 core priorities, and check out the order here because it's really, really deliberate. Number 1, security. Number 2, quality. And only then, number 3, AI innovation. The message is clear, right? Before they can get to all the cool, flashy AI stuff, they are laser focused on making sure everything is secure and reliable. Trust is the foundation for everything else. And believe me, these are not just buzzwords they're throwing around. They are putting serious muscle behind this. We're talking about 34,000 engineers, 34,000, whose entire job is security. Plus, they've got this huge company-wide push for quality. The takeaway here is absolutely crucial. They're building the fortress first, making sure it's rock solid, before they fill it with all the AI treasure. Okay, so now for that third priority, AI innovation. And they think about this in 2 big parts. On one hand, you have the infrastructure. This is the foundation, right? The giant data centers, the powerful AI models, all the heavy lifting behind the scenes. And on the other hand, you have the experience, the co-pilots and agents. This is the stuff we actually touch and use, the smart assistants that are popping up in Word, in Outlook, everywhere. And let's just talk about the scale of that foundation for a second, because it is immense. They are running over 400 data centers around the world. They're partnering with the biggest names in the game, like OpenAI. But here's what's really interesting. They're also building their own powerful AI models in-house. So they're playing both sides. They're basically building the global engine that's going to power this entire AI revolution. So they've built this massive AI engine. But are people actually using it? Oh yeah, absolutely. Their whole family of Copilot products has blown past 100 million monthly active users already. That is a huge number. It proves that this technology isn't just some experiment anymore. It's hitting a massive mainstream audience. All right, so we've talked strategy, we've talked about these massive numbers, but that's all a bit abstract, isn't it? What does this AI shift actually look like out there in the real world? How is it really impacting people's day-to-day lives? Well, let's start with healthcare.
Check this out. At just one health system in the US, caregivers saved over 100,000 hours. How? By using AI to automatically handle all that tedious documentation from patient visits. And think about what that means. That's not just a number. That is 100,000 hours given directly back to actual patient care. And behind that big data point is a real human story. One doctor who used this technology said it was, and I'm quoting here, the best thing to happen to my practice in 10 years. Wow. That's when you know this isn't just about efficiency. This is where the impact gets really, really personal. And it's not just one industry either. The applications are incredibly diverse. Look at this. We're seeing it used by a judge in Colombia to make the justice system faster. We're seeing a grandmother in Japan able to communicate using her own voice again. And then you have a huge company like Carvana using it to cut down their customer service calls by almost half. From justice to family to business, this stuff is truly for everyone. Okay, so you've got this insane momentum. You're having a real impact. The big question then becomes, how do you sustain that? How do you keep it going for the long haul? Well, the report suggests the answer isn't just about building better tech. It's about culture, and it's about having a deep sense of responsibility.
At the very core of their culture is this idea they call a growth mindset. And I love how they put it. It's about being learn-it-alls instead of know-it-alls. It means you're always willing to experiment, to adapt, to accept that you don't have all the answers. And you can see this in their actions, right? It's the kind of thinking that lets you make huge bets, like building your own AI models from scratch, even while you're partnering with the best in the world. In a world that's changing this fast, a culture like that is absolutely essential. And to really hammer this idea home, Satya Nadella actually posed this question to every single employee at Microsoft. He asked, what are you working on today that 15 years from now you will look back on and say, we got it right? Just think about that for a second. What a question. It completely shifts your focus away from just the next project deadline or the next quarterly report and forces you to think about legacy, about long-term impact. And what's really fascinating is looking at some of the answers that came back from employees. Things like making speech a standard way to interact with computers, or using AI to fundamentally improve life for people with disabilities, or even helping billions of people around the world learn how to use AI themselves. These aren't just small goals. This gives you a real tangible glimpse into the kind of future they're trying to build. And this all ties into the final thought from Satya Nadella, which really sums everything up. He says that Microsoft has an immense opportunity and a responsibility. It's not just about building these cool new futures, but about helping to shape the world's future. And that's the big idea they leave us with. The question isn't just, what can this technology do? The real question is, what should it do? And how does a company right at the center of this incredible shift help guide it in a way that benefits